In this video, I'm gonna be talking about Metallica's guitar tone evolution over the years, and I'm gonna be focusing specifically on James's guitar tone, so stay tuned. So the Kill 'Em All tone was never specifically my favorite tone. It's very harsh to the ears. That JCM 800 with the boost in front of it has a lot of treble, which I feel like it's gonna damage your ears in a while. But you gotta cut the boys some slack because it's their first album. They didn't know what worked and what didn't. Still gets a 3 out of 5. Ride the Lightning. Reverb aside, it's really one of my favorite tones, even though it's really similar to the Kill 'Em All tone in a lot of ways. Still has that harsh top end, still sounds a little bit brittle, but it sounds tighter, and the distortion for some reason suits my ears somehow, even though Creeping Death, if you listen to it really loudly from speakers, as soon as James's vocals come in, it's really harsh. It's like you gotta just turn it down a little bit because it's too boomy. But I still like that tone. It's one of my favorite tones ever. 4 out of 5 for me. Master of Puppets. This tone is legendary. Every metal band probably secretly wished that their record would have sounded the way Master of Puppets sounded in 1986. It's really interesting how Metallica actually achieved the tone. So basically, they took the power amp section of a JCM 800, of a modded JCM 800, but the preamp section of the Mesa Boogie. So they bypassed the power amp section of the Mesa Boogie and slaved the amp into the JCM 800, which gave it such a bright, such a clear tone. Even though the 5-band EQ on the Mesa Boogie, you can get that tone really scooped because of the 5-band EQ, and that's exactly what they did. They got it really scooped, but the clarity of the power amp section of the JCM 800, or I don't know what it is about it, made it so good. It's like basically the best metal tone of that era, of the 80s. I don't think any band got a better tone than Metallica did by using those two amps in that particular way. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me, for sure. Top 3 favorite tones. We all knew we'd get here, and Justice for All. It's gonna be hard not to be a little biased because it's my favorite album of all time, but it's the most recognizable Metallica guitar sound. Even if you hear just palm mutes on the E string and that's it, you instantly know that's Injustice for All. For sure that's Injustice for All. It has that character, really harsh top end, really boomy low end. Mids are scooped out entirely. It sounds amazing though for some reason. It really works with the album. The tone of the album really works with the theme of it. The theme is just aggression, just that grief that they had for Cliff. And I think it really shows even in the production of the album, not only the songs themselves. In terms of actual audio quality, I'll give this tone a 3 out of 5 anyway, because since it's the most recognizable guitar sound, yeah, you could give it more, but it's harsh. It's harsh, it's scooped. The frequencies like get mixed up with the bass frequencies, which is a real problem because I heard the remastered version of Injustice for All with the bass added back in, and it doesn't sound as good as without the bass. So yeah, I see where James was coming from when he was talking about his tone being way too scooped for bass to actually be audible, even though I know that's not a real story. But that was a good point. The Black Album. Well, in the Black Album, they've figured out exactly how to get their tone, that Injustice for All tone, right there, like to a whole nother level of thickness, of meat, of muscle in that tone. Bob Rock really knew what he was doing when he actually built that tent around the cabinet to make it tight, to make it sound really tight. It was amazing. It has character of Injustice for All, where it's really scooped and really low-endy, and the character of Master of Puppets, which is really scooped, really tight, and really clear at the same time. It has a lot of clarity to it. So that's why James was talking about also the production technique, the wall of guitars. The wall of guitars is basically a lot of tracks. Heck, Sad But True had like, what, 8 tracks, I think, of guitars. Like, they quad-tracked it and they said, nah, that's not enough, that's not thick enough, let's add more. They had 8 tracks, 8 individual tracks of guitar just to make it like have that thickness, that muscle. And talking about the wall of guitars, listen to how the electric, like the distorted guitars come in Sandman, dude. It's insane. It's literally just clean guitar and then the whole song is in your face. It's really insane how well they recorded that album. 5 out of 5, no doubts about it.
Seeking no truth, winning is all. Fighting so grim, so true, so real.
We're moving on straight to Sane Anger, just because Load and Reload kind of had the same, almost the exact same tone as the Black Album, which was really good. They figured out that formula really worked and they really liked it, so obviously they stuck with it for Load and Reload, which nothing wrong about that. Saint Anger kinda has the same tone, but it's really raw. It's more underproduced instead of being overproduced, like the ones we'll talk about later. It misses that tightness. Even though it's technically almost the same tone, it misses that tightness of Master or the Black Album. It misses that low-end punch that the Black Album has. So it's a 3 out of 5 for me.
Sporting their supremacy. I can't believe the
Death Magnetic and Hardwired is where James really tried something different with his tone, and he likes it. I'm not a huge fan of it. They mashed up a Mesa Boogie that they were using on the previous records with a diesel amp. The diesel amp is more harsh, it's more like a 5150 sound instead of a rectifier sound, and you can really tell in the tone. It's really over the top, it's really distorted, really compressed. I'm not really a fan of that. So this one, to be fair, these two actually, to be fair, they're down there with Saint Anger. It's a 3 out of 5 for me.